Illustrator. This is an ellipse tool, but basically what it is, you can make all kinds of egg shapes and stuff. And if you click the shift and hold it while you're having it active, you can make it into a perfect circle. Okay. The next one is a multiple side. They call it the polygon tool. Yes. How am I? Like the shape that I'm making? Oh, okay. Why don't you well, you can either drag your selection tool and select them all and then hit delete, or you can say select all, because that's all we've got so far. It's just say let me see, Command A, and it should select everything, then hit delete.
Oh, cool. That's easy.
Yeah. I love easy. I don't know if I work smart or if I work lazy, but whatever, I'm doing it. So were there any other questions? Okay, good. I know that this is kind of boring, but I just want to show you where all the stuff is. All right. So this is the polygon. It has multiple shapes, and it's just like the others. You hold the shift and you can make it proportional. Okay. So, and whenever I'm doing the single ones, I'm just hitting delete as long as it's selected. That's how I'm getting rid of them so fast. Okay, I'm gonna make myself a tool, a shape here. And if I hit the up arrow key, y'all know which one I'm talking about, right? Over here on the bottom right, you have arrows that are up and down, side to side. You can make this go down to a triangle, but if you hit up, it adds. As long as you're clicking, it adds. Does that make sense? Questions? Okay. The star tool. This is a super handy tool. I use it a lot. So you can just draw a star, or you can shift and make it proportional too. The one difference between this tool and all the others, back in the old days, you had to hold the shift, hold the click, and then up and down with the arrow keys, the ones that are right here on your screen, on your keyboard. But they have added something within the last year that makes it so you can edit it. Like you can close it and save it and come back 10 years later and you can still edit this. And it's this little thing right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's just two arrows. It looks like an up or down button on an elevator. If you just go and you click it and start clicking, actually you have to move it. Sorry, you have to grab it and move it down. And as you move it down, it's counting how many more points you're getting. Okay. So that remains something that you can edit. It's not like these other polygon tools and stuff that you have to just start from scratch. Another thing it does, notice these little, you've actually got two of them. You've got one on this radius and you've got one on this radius. They're bigger than just the other anchor points and stuff. And what you can do with that is you can change the diameter. You can change the outer diameter, or you can change the inner diameter. Pretty cool. Any questions about that? I guess the reason I used this a whole lot is because when I worked for housing, that was one of, Christmas, you always have lots of stars. And so I was doing lots of stars all the time. Okay, I think I have. Oh, I didn't go on the right thing here. Sorry, just got all worked up. I've already finished all those because remember we talked about the closed path and the open path. And I talked about the lines and the shapes. Okay, brushes. So brushes, are right here. This is the paintbrush. You can click, and I don't use the blob tool very much, but you can absolutely work on it if you want to. Okay, so the brush tool is one of those tools that you can draw stuff with. Like you can just click and hold it and draw, and it never has a closed path. When you use the brush, the paths don't close. And you see I was pretty wobbly with all of that. So let me get rid of that, and let me show you how to change that. So if you hover over the tool and double click, it gives you this little box. So you've got all kinds of selections that you can choose to do. So I am only going to be messing with the accurate one on the slider on the top. And you can play with the others. I generally don't want my things to be kept selected. And I don't really want it to fill either, because it's not going to be a complete path. So I don't want to fill it. So I don't change those, but you're welcome to play with it. Okay, so I'm going to make this very inaccurate. And I'm going to show you how it looks. It pretty much looks what I drew, like what I drew. I'm going to double click it again, and I'm going to make it smooth. And now I'm going to make the same shape. And you see, it's made some of those lines straight. It's made them look a whole lot better, and it's not jaggy in the center. That works a whole lot. Are any of you familiar with Procreate? Okay. It's a drawing program for those of you who haven't used it. That's in iPad, and it's basically an industry standard for illustrators to use it. Whenever you're using it, you can pause for a second when you've drawn a circle or a line or something like that, and it will shape it up so that it's perfect. That's similar to what you do here. You still have a little more freedom, but that's what I just showed you how to do, is to kind of clean up your lines. Okay. Pencil tools. Now, shaper tools, I don't use that one very much. I use the pencil tool. And the pencil tool is very similar to the brush tool, except for one thing. Whenever you draw a shape and you start getting close to your beginning point, the very first place that you touched your pencil to, it gets that little 0. So it means that it will make a complete path. Let me make this bigger. And so you see, that's a complete path, whereas the brush can't do that. Okay. And it also has that ability. You can click and you can make it smoother or more accurate, and close. You double click. Let me cancel that. Go over to the actual tool and double click right on top of it. And that'll bring up that dialog box where you can make it smoother or less smooth. And also it has the option of closing a path when it comes within 15 pixels is default. If you want it to be bigger than that, you can, but I sort of don't like it to be bigger than that, because that means that it could close it before I'm ready. But anyway, you can make that a whole lot smoother and say, okay. All right. So that's pretty much all the drawing tools. And we're going to be using those a lot on all of our projects from now on. Probably the only one that we'll use anywhere near as much will be the type tool, but we are going to save that for next time. I'm going to show you now a brush, not a brush, but an eraser tool. It's right next to the pencil tool. Go ahead and just click it. And if you double click the eraser tool, you can make it bigger or smaller right here. You can make it have an angle, or you can have the size be bigger. This adjusts it right here. But it also adjusts just like any other paintbrush does. You hit the bracket keys and you can make it a whole lot bigger. The right bracket makes it bigger. The left bracket makes it smaller. Okay. So now what do we do with this eraser tool? So one thing is If you've only got one object, it's going to erase it even if it's not active. I have found that out the hard way. So let me just, one really great shortcut that y'all need to know is if you want to make a duplicate of something, and sometimes you might want to make a complete duplicate, you'll have your selection tool, you'll select the item, hold down Option and drag it, and then let go of your click, and then let go of Option. If you let go of Option first, it's not going to copy it. So you can copy things really super fast by just holding down the Option key and dragging. Did everybody catch that? Okay. So I'm going to overlap these, and I'm only going to have one selected and have my eraser tool selected. And I'm going to go like right through here. And you notice it only did the selected one. So let me go over that again. If you have one shape, it's going to affect it whether it's selected or not. If you have two shapes, then you need to select one so that the other one won't be affected. Does that make sense? And it also has that function so that if you hold down the Shift key, it will make a completely straight line. Whereas if you don't, it's going to be as crazy as you like. And you can see all of those purple things are points. So now we've got so many anchors. I'm sorry. We've got so many anchors that it's crazy. Okay. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? I'm okay? All right, great. Don't ever hesitate to tell me if I'm going too slow or too fast. Either one can be aggravating. Okay, so that's all of that one. I don't think I'm going to show these to you yet because you don't really need them, I don't think. But I am going to go to this one because rotate and reflect and all of those kind of things. Well, I guess I will. It's only 10:30. I mean, it's only 10:30. I'll show you these. So rotate. Let me just draw something here. Okay, now you can rotate it by just going up and to a corner and doing it randomly like that. Or you can go to this tool that's called the rotate tool, and you can see that it's got two different things here. And if you use it a lot, and sometimes you really might, if you have this one selected, you can double click it and tell it exactly how much you want it to rotate. Let's say 45 degrees. And it does it without you having to calculate or to curve it and try to get that number to exactly 45 degrees. Let's say that you want to make an exact duplicate of something, only you want it to be the exact opposite. Let's say that you're wanting to have a mirror image of something right next to the other, and you'll be surprised how many times you're going to use that too. You can double click that, and you can change it so that it's a vertical or a horizontal, either vertical or horizontal, or you can choose your angle. And so whenever I'm doing this, I say copy, and then all of a sudden I've got two, and they're exactly opposite of each other. You can just move it over. See how that reflected? It's handy. It's handy. All right, I'm going to do a couple of boxes really quick. No, actually, I think I'm going to use my option here and make them like this. Okay. So I have 3 boxes. They are the same size because I copied them, but one's really wide, one's narrow, and it may or may not actually be aligned. So it's really hard for me to show this to you, but there's a thing called properties. And you can find the same stuff in 100 different places, but this kind of has it all together. So let's say that I want those to have equal space. You click the little 3 dots down there and it opens up a bigger window that shows everything. The align objects, you can align things on the left, you can center them, or on the right, top, center, or bottom. You can do all kinds of things, but I mainly use the top ones and then this spacing. So let me show you the spacing one first. Okay, so I want to put the space between these boxes into an equal thing. You can actually use rulers and lines and take 15, 20 minutes to get them exactly right, or you can touch a button and it lines them up so that they are exactly spaced the same. Let the computer do a lot of work for you. You don't have to go in there with a measuring tool and make sure that you've got them all straight and everything. And then if you have these, let me unselect one, and one is out of line. Let's say that I have made them have the same distance in between, but one is not in line. You can either use vertical align bottom, or you could have gone to a vertical align center and get them into shape. Now that sounds like a silly thing to have, but whenever you're working in multiple shapes and you want them to be lined up, it's a time saver like crazy. All right. Eyedropper. Let me just show you this really quick. I'm going to put red in this one and make this one really big. So I've got the big one selected and I want this color in there. So I get the eyedropper, and with the big one selected, just click on the one that I want to copy and it makes that same color, so that if you're needing to match colors, you don't have to look it up. You can actually match it so that you're totally accurate. Oops. I don't know what it's saying. Deny. Okay. So let's move on to Pathfinder. And I think I always get too much into a class so that it's not enough or it's too much. Let me get over here. I'm going to choose a shape. Just going to make a rectangle, and I want to make this a color, and I'm going to put another color. Oh, and we'll talk more about strokes and things later, but if you have a stroke is actually just the path. That's just the thing that outlines a shape, but you can make it look like it has a really thick line or a thin line. And so up here, stroke is that's what rules that. So you can make it really big, or you can make it really super small. So I'm going to put it big enough so that we can see it. Okay. So I'm going to make another shape here. I'm going to just do a circle, and I'm going to make it a different color. Let me just flip it so it's a different color. Okay. Sorry. So I have them both selected. And then here is our Pathfinder. You can also find it up here as a separate item, a separate panel, Pathfinder, or you can just go to your properties tool and it has all of this there. Okay, so we have a lot of different things over here in Pathfinder. It has different shapes, and it kind of gives us a clue of what it is by just looking at the image, because that looks like two things that have been made into one shape, and it's called unite. Okay, so what would unite mean? It means come together, right? So I'm going to click that, and you see, let me do that again. So I've got two separate things. The colors are different. I click unite, and suddenly it takes the color that was the on top image, on top shape, and made it all that same color and made it into a completely one shape. You can see that, oops, that it has no points where that circle was. I'll undo it. You can see with this that it's two totally different shapes. You can move them separately. You can do whatever you want to separately. But once you have, where did my thing go? Nope. That's the trouble with using the property tool. Sometimes the things go away. So I'm just going to go here to window since I've lost my Pathfinder window, and it's going to come in over here. And so whenever you want to add another window, if you're tired of fooling around with the properties one and you want your own Pathfinder one, you can go to window and it'll open it up. Then you can take it and hover over these lines, these splits, and it'll put it right in there. And then we can close those. Okay, so now I've got this in the way. There we go. So I've got it really close. You can see that it has all of those different paths, two separate shapes. I click unite, and it's suddenly all one shape. That means you can do a whole lot of different shapes, geometric shapes, to build something like a face. You could have a circle and then two circles for the ears. You could have all of those things, and you can make it into one shape. So you've only got that outline on one shape. All right. The next one is subtract front or minus front. So how does that work? Okay, let's just look. Okay, what it does is the shape that's on top takes a bite out of the one that's on the bottom. So it minus the front. You've got two shapes and it takes the front shape off and leaves a bite out of the bottom one. Okay, this one is called intersect. So the two things that are overlapping are the only thing that's left. So if you're wanting to make something that you got this inner shape and you want that, then that's what you would use. Okay. And then this one is kind of the same, only opposite. You click it and it takes out that intersecting shape. Okay. So lots of explanations. Transparency and layers. I think we'll work a little bit on layers and transparency later. And of course, with the menu is pretty self-explanatory. The common things are in file where you can export or you can open files and all of that stuff. Edit, of course, is this, you can copy and paste there. Object has got everything to do with the shapes that we're building, and so on. And of course, window is your friend because it has all of the panels there. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we start the lab? All right, so go ahead and close that one. And the Illustrator lab is not that one. That is the wrong one. Let me open up the right one. Okay. Well, my goodness. Desktop, what am I doing? Okay, so we are on week 4 Illustrator, the first one. So this is the lab. This is what it looks like. Sorry, I tried to use the wrong place to look for that. Let me get those. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to recreate what's on the screen. So go to layers, which is just like it's in Photoshop. We had layers, but this one is on the panel. Can all of you find that? Click on it and it opens up and you'll see that there are 2 layers on this file. You've got one that has a lock on it, just like in Photoshop. It has a lock. That means you can't do anything to that until you unlock it. And the little eyes, you can see that you can work them just like you did in Photoshop. Like if I click on the work, there's nothing there because so far there's nothing on that layer. But if I click this one, all of that goes away. Okay, so what I want you to do is work on that layer on the top, on the work layer. I don't want you to unlock it or anything because that's just for you to see what I want you to do. Okay, so the first one, it's just, and I don't care if the colors are the same. You don't have to use the same colors I did. It's just that's just the colors I picked. So I want you to make a square, and you can make it some other color. And let's see, before I do that, I think I'm going to go to Window and open up my swatches. This is all alphabetical, and swatches basically is color, and it's not doing any better either. Okay, is anybody having trouble getting colors? Um, where is it? Oh, default. I'm just going to go down to default and get myself some swatches. Did I hear a question?
Yeah.
Okay, you go to Window and then go down all the way to swatches. And then the little striped things here, just hold that down and open swatch library. And then I chose default. And I just chose the top one.
Where's the ball? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's kind of towards the top. And you'll need to pick one of the default ones. Like I picked the Art and Illustrator. Illustrator has really messed up their color in the last few years. So did you find one? You can use that if you're comfortable with that. Okay. Everybody have some colors that they can use? You can even use gray tones if you want to. I just want you to have a difference between the colors. Okay, y'all are doing good. I'm not sure what's happened in Adobe, but there was a color matching system, PMS, that they've been using for years and years, and they somehow had a disagreement. So Pantone said, oh, you can't use my colors anymore. And so now we don't have Pantone in Illustrator. You have to pay extra for it. So anyway, it's kind of messed up the colors, in my opinion. All right, so I'm just going to pick some different colors here. What color do I want my swatch? Okay, that's fine. I'm just going to go with this. So make one square, and then you remember I told you about the really handy way you can make duplicates really fast. Hold down Option, click on your square, and just drag. And then just drag. Okay. Then you can select those three that you made and hit the Align button. And you can get them all even and distribute the space between them. Okay. So you could make all the other rows the same way, but like I've said, I work lazy. So the first thing I want to do is I want to group those together because those things are now going to be one thing I'm going to be duplicating. So go up to Object and go to Group, or the command is Command G. And so now, instead of being three boxes, I've got one shape. When I select one, I select all of them. Okay. All right. What was the question again?
Okay, so first I go to Align, and then which one was it?
Okay. So first thing you want to make them sure that they're all in the same height. So you can do that and then select them again. And then you're going to have to, sorry. You're going to have to hit the little buttons here and then see the distribute spacing.
Yeah.
Then click it like that. Yeah, that's right. Then go up to Object and go down to Group. or you can say command group, command G. And then you can use those as your ones that you're gonna,
Remember the bar that like pops up underneath?
Mhm.
I accidentally hit that and I don't know how to get it back.
Go up to window and go to contextual taskbar.
Okay, okay.
That's a mouthful. I don't know why they call it that.
And then I need to just delete it. Like,
Well, you don't have to necessarily.
I don't,
Okay, what I would do is I would get rid of,
because those aren't duplicated either. I can't really
cancel.
figure out how to duplicate it.
Okay, so let's get rid of everything except for one. Go ahead and hit delete.
Oh.
Okay, so now we've got one, and you can do it vertically if you want. So now what I want you to do is hold down the Option key. Okay, so now you can go like this and like this.
Oh,
Oop.
okay, okay,
Yeah, you've got to hold the Option key down or
Okay.
it's not gonna,
okay.
oops. How many did I make? I made a gazillion of them. Sorry,
Should I hear? No, you're fine.
I'm gonna just delete all of those
Okay.
and go ahead and hold the Option key down again.
I know it's like,
And hit the delete key again. Now, hold the Option key down. Okay, now you've got 4 of them.
okay.
Now you can use your align tools to get them all spaced correctly.
Okay. To copy. That was command, no, what was it?
Copy and paste. Well, you can do a Command C, or you can just do this. Hold the Option key down and then drag.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
And you've got to let the Option go last because otherwise
Okay.
it's not going to copy. All righty. Any other questions? Everybody getting it? It's a real time saver if you'll just take it and do that, because it's that way you don't have to continuously do them one by one. Yes.
Like the
Okay. First thing you need to do is go to Window and go to Control. Okay. So that puts a lot of the tools up there, so you don't have to keep going back to the menu. Just go ahead and click and drag your, no, not that one, right. Just click and drag, and then all of them are selected. So this number right here, 1, that means you have a 1-point stroke. You can pull this down and you have a whole lot of choices, or you can just write in a number there. So the bigger the number, the bigger the stroke will be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have a question? Okay. You're just stretching. Maybe we all need to do that. Okay. So then once I get these up here, I just copy, copy and copy. And I'm not even being careful with it either. I'm just copying. So now I'm going to select all of them by clicking and dragging my cursor over everything. And I'm going to first get them all lined up by using this center. And then I'm going to go to the vertical distribution space so that the space in between will be equal. Make sense? And then I do the same thing with the circles. I pick my ellipse tool, I hold it down, and let me show you a little trick. I should have showed that to you before. Now I'm going to go to the center, and I'm going to hold down Shift and Option. And you can't really see that because I've got the same color. Let me change the color. Okay. So let me do that one more time. I've got my circle tool. I'm holding the Shift so it'll stay in a circle. I'm holding down the Option key, and then I pull. And instead of going like just like this and just randomly ending up like that, I'm going from the center instead of from the side. And in this case, it doesn't really make any difference, but in some cases, it will make the difference. So that's how I did that. So let's delete that one. And then the same as I did with the squares, I'm just copying, making sure that they're all centered. And since there is no spacing, since they are both, there's just two of them, and then I group them, Option, drag, Option, drag, and then I select all of them again. I'm holding the wrong key down. You hold the shift down and click on each one of them, and they all get selected. And now you can center them and distribute the spacing. Everybody got that? Looks like I'm seeing some successful attempts at that. Very good. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now this one looks a little more complicated, but it's really basically the same thing. I'm gonna, instead of having I'm gonna flip this and click this little none button, the red line through it. And that means that I have no color in the center because I'm only gonna do a line here. So I'm gonna choose my line segment, gonna click, and I'm gonna hold the shift key down so I can make a straight line. And let me put a bigger stroke on that. You have to have it selected in order to get to change the stroke. So if I can't change it here, it does nothing to it. But if I change it here, if I select it and change it, then it's going to change it. Okay, so I've drawn one line. And now I'm going to do Option, copy, copy, copy. I'm going to select all of them. Copy, copy. It doesn't really matter how many you do. You don't have to have the exact amount that's on the page. Then I select all of them. I click either the top or the bottom just to get them all even with each other. Hit the distribute space. And oh, wow, those are really close together. But now it has an equal space in between each one of them. Just like we did with the squares and the circles. That way you don't have to try and make a whole bunch of lines that are exactly the same length individually by hand. You can just you can make one and then paste many. Yeah, then you're just going to be using that horizontal one to get them all spaced evenly. How are you doing?
Good.
Okay, good. Just remember to copy those, and you don't have to draw each line separately.
Okay.
I did two lines, but now I just one.
Just select one and delete it. Okay. And now that one you hold down the right. That's perfect. Very good. You got it? Yes, you do. And you do too. Everybody's getting it. If you need any more explanation on something, don't hesitate. Okay, you're doing it perfect. And you're doing it perfect too, aren't you? Were you moving ahead? It doesn't really matter what color it is. Any color will do. Okay, can I move on? Or do I need to give you another minute? Okay. So now this one is a pen tool one. So I get just my regular, ordinary, run-of-the-mill pen tool. And I click. And now I'm going to show you the way I do it. I mean, you could do it where that you're trying to trace it exactly and using your anchors and curves and all of that. But here's what I do. I click at the beginning, I go to kind of the top of the circle of the arc and click to the circle to the center of the arc, and then maybe another one, and then click, and then I'm just trying to make, then you have to say not select. So it's Shift Command A, and it takes the selection off. It makes it so it's not active. Okay, so I could leave it there, but it's really not a very good, it's not very good work. But I can take my pen tools, and remember this little flying V? I can click here on that first anchor, and then I can, if you hold the shift, it'll keep it going straight. So I can make my arc there. Then I can do the same thing on this one and make my arc there. And it doesn't have to be perfect at this point. So I'm making everything have a little bit of a curve to it. And I really picked a bad color for this. Let me see if I can pick a different color. Let's pick, I'm going to just pick black. Okay. So now you can kind of see what I'm doing. I've got my flying V here. I'm just making everything have a little bit of a curve. Oops, wrong direction. It starts lapping over itself if you go the wrong direction, just like that. Okay, so now I've got it a little closer. And that's when I use my selection tool, my direct selection tool, to refine it. Do any of you paint, or have you ever taken a painting class? You do. So it's sort of like painting. The first few brush strokes that you do are not going to be seen. It's a layering process. You do one thing to kind of get you started, and then you kind of refine and refine and refine. So it's not something that you do with one stroke. Now, some people, I guess, could have probably done that with one stroke, but you don't have to. So this one I have not fixed yet. And sometimes you might find that you've got too many points, too many anchors. So you can delete an anchor and smooth it. The reason that I do it whenever I delete an anchor point is because it's being bumpy and I can't get it unbumpy. So just a little bit of manipulation. I think I'm going to erase that one too. And use these guys. So you switch tools back and forth a lot when you're working in Illustrator. Okay, not perfect, but still not bad. Everybody get that? So the other way you can do it, you can click and then drag the anchor point to make the curves and all of that. But I really prefer to just sort of do a general shape and then refine it. So that's just my method. You may have a method that works differently. Okay, so this one, it looks like you could probably use your pen tool and just click at every point and have it done. And you could. But here's what I want to show you how to do it. I'm going to just put a box in here. Okay. Then I'm going to use my direct selection tool, and I'm going to fix the alignment here. So I'm making that there. I'm making it kind of off center, just like the M looks. Kind of looks like an M, doesn't it? Okay. So then I have to add an anchor. Remember we had that add an anchor. It has a plus right next to the pen. Just click somewhere in the center. Get my direct selection tool again. Drag it down. It could be faster for you to just use the pen to click the whole thing and just make the shape in one fell swoop. But I'm just showing you the way that I would do stuff. Now this one, I would never in a million years try to do all of these curves with the pen. I would just go to my nice little spiral tool and keep turning it around so that it's kind of the same. And then use my arrow keys, remember the arrow keys, and add a couple of segments to it. and then you got it. Huh? Sure. Okay, so I have gone to where my line segment tool was, and I've chosen the spiral tool, and I just click and I hold it and I just drag to the side, and I can see that whoa. Let me do that again. I started moving things. Okay, I click and I start dragging, holding my click, and then I can turn it by just moving my mouse so that it's kind of the same direction. And it looks like I may need to take off one of those. And that's all. Anybody have a question? Let's make some stars. Same place. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's not the same place. What am I saying? It's under the rectangle tool, the star tool. What am I doing? Here we go. We can make a 5-point star. And if you hold down the shift key, it straightens up those. This to me, this is kind of like, I'm sorry, I always classify and name things. To me, that's an American star because it's got the 5 points, the top bar up there is straight. That looks to, if I were to make a flag, that's what I would put on it. I just feel like that's the proper 5-pointed star. Okay. But if you want to make more, you can actually just copy this one. Option, drag. And since we have this handy little tool here, we can add more points. And so I've added a few more points to that. So there we've got that one. I'm going to copy with the option, and I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm running out of room here. And again, we can drag this down and make lots more points. I don't even know how many points here. I'm just making multiple points. Okay.
Trying to make a little star, but I have this little symbol right here.
Okay, well, get your selection tool and click on it. But weird. Do you mind if I take a look at that for a second? You're on the right layer. I don't understand why you've got that. It says draw a pencil here. Why don't we delete this for a second? Let's hide this bar and see if it helps. Okay, so nope, it does not. It's just not changing your tools for some reason. Because you should be having, oh, nope, that's not it. But let's see if that helped any. It still says, it still has that. Weird. Why don't you just close all this and restart Illustrator and see if it'll cut it out? No, you don't have to. You can just start where I've seen what you've been doing. Yeah, this is not something you're turning in. This is just a lab worksheet. And you're getting a grade because I see how y'all are working, and y'all are all staying right on point. So I'm fine with that. So he's going to have to restart his computer. So if you're in a position where you have to restart during one of these things, that's fine because you're not going to have to turn it in. Okay. So we can change the star with this little guy here, and we can even make it a different center. It can be thicker, whatever we want to do. And then this one down here is just all you're doing is you're flipping the color of your stroke so that it's your fill instead. So There we go. I just used the little button there. Anybody have any questions? Okay. So this is the one that we just finished doing, the pathfinding one. So what I want you to do is to draw a rectangle. And I'm going to change the colors on this. I'm going to make it kind of like this. I don't know. Then I'm going to change the stroke to black. And I'm going to make it pretty good size just so y'all can see it. Okay. Then I'm going to draw a circle. Oh, I picked the wrong tool. Good grief. I'm going to draw a circle. And wow, my hands are not operating correctly today. I'm going to switch the colors so that you can see the two separate pieces. So does everybody have those two things drawn? Okay. Now we're going to go to our Pathfinder. So it will look like that. You can find it on the properties, or you can go up to window and pull down, and it's down at the P's. You can open up the panel. So this one, what we're doing is we're taking a bite out of the thing on the bottom. You've got to have them in the right layers. You can't have the square on top of that circle and expect to get a bite taken out of it like that. So the circles on top, the squares are the rectangles on the bottom. And so I'm going to just make a copy of them over here so you can see both. So now I'm going to subtract the front and click, and that's what we get. Now we've got just the bite, whereas we had the circle in the rectangle. Are you starting back up? Yeah, good. Let me come over so you can show me how did I get what?
Yeah, I'm so there, gosh.
Oh yeah, the copying thing that we were doing with all the lines and everything. Yeah.
Okay. And then what?
And then you go to your Pathfinder, and we want to get rid of that top piece. So the second one is the one we need to use, but sometimes if you're just looking on your own, you can try several times and just do an undo. What did it say? Let me borrow your. That's weird. Let me try this one. Don't know why it's not working.
Mine's not.
Let's see if we can do anything else with it. Yep. Weird.
Okay. Like the first one. I went to Windows. I went to Windows.
We can do other things with it, so I don't know why it's not working.
Okay, I'll just, I mean, as long as you're,
I'm good with it. You can keep trying if you want to, but you know what to do. Do you know what to do?
You're supposed to just drag those over.
Okay, so you need to drag both of them over. So select both of them. Just click and drag your cursor across it. Okay, let me show you how to do that. So you click and you see you're making that box,
Mhm.
and that selects both of them.
Oh,
And
okay.
then you hold Option and drag it over.
Oh, okay.
And then click that button right there. I want to see if it's going to work. And it did. Good. Good. Any other questions? Alrighty, so if y'all got it, go ahead and work on the others. You don't have to go along with me, but I just want to make sure everybody's. It doesn't even have to be a perfect circle. Okay, so use your mouse to select both of those. Just click and select, and then use the Option key to to copy it, and then just drag over. Oh, you let go of the Option key. You've got to hold down the Option key the whole time and let go of your click before you, there you go. Because the Option, I can't tell you how many times I've drug it over and let go of the Option first, and then everything disappears. Okay, then have both of them selected. And here we have the Pathfinder. So use that tool right there. Alrighty. Looks like you're getting it. Very good. And you're getting it. Now that is, you did it right. Just change your stroke to fill up there on your color. On your color right here in the center. See that little line? I'm not line, that little arrow. Yeah, that's it. Just click that and see, you've got it. Except you've got,
I think I did too.
maybe so, but that's okay. You still have the whole gist of it. You got it? Okay,
For
great.
this one, are we supposed to just do 2 circles? Like, how
Yeah.
do I get the inner?
Let me just show it up here.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna do the second one. So I am gonna have, first of all, I'm gonna have a circle that's, and I'm gonna make it red so it looks like it's, or orange will do. So this is the bottom. This is the bottom circle. Now I'm going to draw another circle, and I'm going to do that thing where that I go to the center and I shift Option and I make one kind of in the center. And this time I'm going to change that color to something else. Okay, so now I've got two separate circles, one on top of the other. Okay, so I'm going to hold down my Option key, have them both selected, drag it over here. And then what I want to do is I want to make the front disappear. So if you want to, you can try all the different ones to see what happens. I'm going to do this one, exclude. And so it's saying I'm going to exclude the top shape. So I'm going to click there, and it cuts it out. Now I can show you that this has no, it's like a donut. It doesn't have anything in the center. But do notice that whatever color the top one is affects what the bottom one is going to end up. The two together is affected by the top color. Yes. Say that again.
Like where to go to to exclude the inner circle?
Okay, you have to first of all have them both selected.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got to have two things selected or it's not going to work. And then I just look at these. That one would make an intersection of the two shapes. This one would cut out the center one. So that's the one right there. So just click, and there you go.
Thank you.
Everybody good? All right. And this is the last one. I'm going to make myself a square. Another square that's going to be a different color. Let's see, I'm going to make it kind of orangey. And then I'm going to do a circle. Oops. I did not do a circle. I did another square. Okay, so layering is very important whenever you're doing this. Like if I left that on top, it would affect the whole thing. So be sure that you have your layering correct. So since I've got the center square underneath the circle, I'm going to select that little square that and go up to Object and to Arrange and bring to front. Okay. So now I've got them all lined up. I'm going to copy them here. And then I want to make that all one shape. I don't want 3 separate shapes. I don't want anything cut out. I want everything there, the profile. So I click the one that says Unite, and it's all together. Does that make sense? This is really useful, and we'll be using this one a lot whenever we start doing some illustrations, because that's what we're going to be doing in a few days.